Hello everybody, I hope you are fine and everything is going well. Today I'm going to give you some really interesting information about Amfa test. As you all know, these days there are more than 100 languages which are evaluated and assessed based on some very standard proficiency tests in the world. Now I am honored to give you some information about Amfa test, which is a very standard test to evaluate test takers of Persian language. It is worth mentioning that Saadi Foundation has taken all proper measures in order to run this test here in our country, Iran, and all different universities in the world. Amfa test is designed and administered by Saadi Foundation, and it is good to know that every year more than 2 or 3 times this test is held worldwide. One of the chief goals of this test is to evaluate and assess your knowledge of Persian without considering where and how you have learned this language. So you can make sure that by attending this test, based on some international standards, you can get a very true result of your knowledge of Persian. Bear in mind that the certificate of this test is valid for 3 years. From all functions and values of Amfa test, I'm going to have to refer to the most important one. Amfa test and its certificate is the most valuable and standard international test to evaluate your knowledge of Persian in the world. As well as all the other language proficiency tests in the world, Amfa is divided into 4 major parts to evaluate your knowledge of speaking, listening, writing, and reading in Persian. Needless to say, every language learning starts from reception. So for that to be assessed, in Amfa test, we have the listening part. In this part, you are supposed to be evaluated based on different criteria. Know that your knowledge, your proficiency in Persian speaking will be evaluated and assessed based on 4 major criteria, including language fluency and coherence, pronunciation, grammatical range and accuracy, and of course your lexical resource in Persian. There are 4 major criteria based on which your writing will be evaluated. First of all, we have task response or task achievement. In the second part, we are dealing with coherence and cohesion. In the third part, something really important is your lexical resource. And at last, we have grammatical length and accuracy. Writing has always been one of the most challenging parts of language tests. In Amfa test, writing is divided into 2 major parts. In the first part, you are given a letter topic, and you are supposed to create a letter of at least 150 words. In the second part, there is a topic for an essay. Here, the minimum word that you are supposed to create here in this part is 250 words. And in the end, you are given 3 passages for reading. There are 30 questions, and for each passage, there are 10 questions. Amfa test is designed and administered to play a role as a placement test. Of course, for all placement tests, we don't have a concept of failing or passing. Earning a certificate of Amfa test is one of the most critical prerequisite qualifications for the ones who are seeking some jobs in Iranian embassies in different countries in the world. It's worth mentioning that around the world there are a wide range of Iranian academic and commercial organizations and institutes. For those foreigners who are interested in finding a position in these centers, and of course, for those who are desired to start cooperating with these centers, having a certificate of Amfa test can be a great asset. And of course, for those who are having the enthusiasm to start cooperating with Iranian companies which are based in Iran, having this certificate can play a great role to pave the ground in order to start all business dealings. Most importantly, for anyone who is supposed to be staying here in our country, Iran, for all different types of purposes, including establishing an institute or opening up a business, having Amfa exam and having in hand the certificate can play a critically important role. Let's not take something for granted. Persian is one of the rare classical languages in the world. This is the language of rich history, culture, and of course, civilization. In case you are willing to get further information about Amfa tests, you are advised to refer to our site where you can find thorough information all about this test for Persian language.